Hello, I am Nectarvia. I'm the owner of Soapfistication. And a couple of years ago, I had created an Excel file, an Excel model to help people calculate ballpark estimates of how much it's costing you to make your product. Um, it's in the files of my group. So my Facebook group, Soapfistication Molds Help Group. And I had done a live video back then, kind of showing how to use it, and Facebook got rid of all the lives. So I'm doing this live in Facebook again today. It's July 25th, 2025. I haven't looked at that model really for a while, so it'll be a fun little like relearning experience, exposure experience. And then when this live is done, I will also publish it to my YouTube channel so that when Facebook deletes it from the group, which it will delete it in about 30 days. It says 30 days. I don't know if it does it exactly on day 30 or what, but then it will be available on my YouTube channel. Okay, so let me switch to a view so you can see my desktop. But then hopefully you still see me. Yay! Okay, so this is my group, and if you go up here into the files section, that's where this file is, and it's this Soapfistication cost calc model. So it looks like I put it up in 2022, and what you're gonna just do is click this Twinkie, they call it, the 3-button thing. Usually it's a little smaller, and so it's called a Twinkie because it looks like a Twinkie. So I don't know if this is also called a Twinkie. Anyway, and you click download. I have already done this before, so I'm going to go into my downloads. I've actually, when I downloaded it, it was like in there twice. So, So it's opening now. Oops. That's not what I want. Hold on. Well, I'll just re-download it. Whatever. Download. And oh, let me get back to this so I can see comments if they come up. Okay. So Kathy says she has no experience, I assume both with Excel and with my model. Melissa says she has experience. Yes. Fabulous. Trish has no experience as well. So, okay. This will be, so if anybody has questions throughout this, please share. And we'll get through this together. So, by the way, I use a PC. I don't have a Mac. So I don't know what would be different if you have a Mac. Anyway, I am now going to open this file. You do need Excel for this. I don't know what would happen if you don't have Excel. And so, actually I should close out of this one because this is what I must have done yesterday when I was trying to do this. I tried to go live with this last night and I was yawning the whole time. So the first time that you open this, you may see this bar that says, careful. Basically, this is like, somebody could have sent you a virus, so make sure you want to use this file. So make sure you trust me. I know you don't know me, but I think you have to click enable editing for you to be able to use this. So I'm going to click that. I'm also going to zoom this in so that on this video, hopefully it's a little easier to see this. So first of all, a couple little factoids about this model. As I said, I created this a couple years ago. It is owned by me. It is intended only for the use of people who are joining my group. It's kind of a little benefit of joining my group. So please do not share this with anybody. They can get it too if they just join my group. And it is intended to help makers estimate the cost of ingredients for the products that you make. It's just a guidance document. You use the file at your own risk. there's a chance I could have entered a formula wrong. I checked it multiple times, but there's always that chance. You could enter something incorrectly. So any decisions made based on the files, I'm not taking responsibility for. They're all on you, including whether it's because there's an error in the file that maybe I did, or because you entered something incorrectly. To help reduce the risk of somebody going in and changing formulas that then will cause problems, because this should work the way that I've done it, I have locked down a lot of the cells. So just be aware that this is not a document that you're going to be able to like manipulate a ton. It's going to be able to be used for this only. I am working on another model that's a bit different that I'm going to be sharing with people who sign up for my email list in the future. That will be a little bit different than this. And that one will allow people to manipulate as they see fit as they go on. But anyway. So this is one of the pages. I can't like click in here because I don't want people taking a thing out and saying it's not owned by me. Okay. The file does not include the cost of the time it takes to make your products as an ingredient. You can add it as an ingredient. There is a way for you to calculate ballpark labor, and it factors that into your MSRP. But like, for instance, the next model I'm working on, you're going to be putting in like, how long does it take me to make? How long does it take me to paint? Things like that, so that you can actually do some analysis about how long different parts of the process are taking you. But this one is not intended for that. The other thing about this file that makes it much more of a guidance document, not going to be exact, is that the file assumes that all liquids weigh the same as their volume, which is not true. We all know we have ordered things like a fragrance oil, like 2 different fragrance oils, and we're getting it by weight, but the volume might be, so you might get a 2-ounce fragrance oil and you get the bottle, and 2 ounces is this much and the other 2 ounces is that much. So your volume is different, but other things might be sold by volume. So for example, like if I get 3 liters of polysorbate 80, I'm pretty sure that's 3 liters of volume. I could be wrong, but I think that's what it is. But I'm just assuming a milliliter equals a gram from a weight perspective for the purposes of this, because the amount of research to do to actually figure out the actual weight is just too much, and I don't think worth it at this level. And then this section over here, excuse me, I do have my coffee today. Oh, Tanya has joined. Hello, welcome. So this goes through the process. So one is, and I'll go through all this with you in a moment, but you enter your ingredients in the supply costs worksheet, which is this pink worksheet right here. And that's something you do once. You never have to do it again. So every time you buy supplies, you could put it in there, but then you can make multiple formulas, multiple products with those same supplies. You don't have to keep re-entering your costs for that. Step 2 is to update the recipe worksheet, and I have 5 within here. I'll chat about that in a moment. And this talks about the things that you should be entering into here, and some comments about that. So again, I'll go into this as we go into those worksheets. And this note, so I'm going to actually start with this because this is, to me, one of the easier things. But if you have more than, by the way, I call all these recipes because I feel like back in 2022 when I made this, I mean, I released it in February 2022, so maybe I started in 2021. Everybody was calling things recipes. Now everybody calls them formulas. Some people get offended by calling them recipes, whatever. Recipe equals formula in this file, okay? So just don't go after me. So if you have more than 5, so let's say one is about bath bombs, one is about bubble bars, one is about soap, one, so you could, body butter, foaming sugar scrub, like you might have 10 different products that you want to do this for. And right now I only have up to 5, but you can duplicate any of these formulas, these worksheets, so that you can do it for multiple things. And I'm going to show you how to do that right now. So I'm going to just pick any one of them. It doesn't matter. I'm going to just, I'm left clicking. By the way, I'm also a righty, so my, excuse me, oh my gosh, my mouse is in my right hand. So I think if you're a lefty, you can switch your right, left clicky things. But anyway, I am a righty. So I just left clicked on recipe 5 so I can pull that up. And then now I'm going to right click on that tab. And I'm going to click this move or copy option. There are other ways to do this, by the way. I'm just showing you one of the ways. There are other ways to do it. I'm going to check this box that says create a copy. And I'm just going to put move to end. Doesn't really matter, that part. And click OK. And you will see now that I have the same exact file in here called recipe 5 and then in parentheses 2. And I can double click this and I could say this is, you know, other product. I can rename that. And I can rename each of these so that I know, like, this is, I just double clicked on that, bath bombs. I could double click here, you know, bubble scoops. I can double click here. This is my body butter, right? So you're able to change all of these things to make it what is for you. I'm going to just change them all back right now. But that can help you find things easier. The other thing you can do, see how this is yellow and this is pink and these other ones are gray. I can right click here and change my tab color. So I can make this one green. I can make this one, you know, orange, whatever. You can go through and change those tab colors how you want. I don't remember what color that was, so that's a teensy bit wrong. Let's go back to that. I think that's what they all are. There. So the only thing is, if you already had filled out all of these recipes, right? This is blank, right? So remember I right clicked here to do a move or copy and copied one over. So if there was already information in here, it would copy all of that information in again. So you'd need to delete that for your other formula that you want to do. Again, let me know if there are questions as I'm going on. I am going to just delete this one because I don't need it. A note about deleting worksheets is once you delete it, you cannot get it back. So I recommend, if you are going to delete a worksheet, like this, a tab, I'll call it a tab, save your file first, delete it, delete that save your file, delete the tab or worksheet, and then make sure everything is working. Because if you deleted, like for instance, if you delete the supply cost worksheet, this file will not work anymore. And so if you deleted it and saved it after you deleted it, you basically are screwed. You need to restart. But if you save it before you delete the worksheet, and then you're like, oops, I deleted the supply cost worksheet, you can close out of the file without saving and reopen it, and now the supply cost will be back there. But you cannot do like an undo in here to get your sheets back. So I'm going to delete this worksheet, and it even tells you it will delete this. Are you sure? And I'm okay with that. Okay. So that's kind of that's what this last note was all about. If you have more than 5, that you can duplicate it. So let's go into the supply costs worksheet. Let me make this bigger again so that we can all see it. So let's talk about, so for those of you who don't have experience with Excel, it's basically like a kind of a grid system, like, I was going to say, like when you read a map, but these days nobody reads maps either. But these are, when you refer to the things going up and down, they're your columns, and when you refer to the things going right and left, they are your rows. And if you're like, oh, I want to go, and these are, each individual square is, or whatever, is called a cell. And so if I'm like, oh, column B, that's this column right here. See the B right here? If I'm like column G, that's this column right here. If I'm like row 7, that's this row right here. And so you could be like, what is in row, like in cell C5? That's this, C5. See? 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 That's how it goes. So just in case I reference that kind of stuff while we're chatting, I wanted you to know that. So the required things for this to work. First of all, these columns G and H are formulas that you cannot go into and change. The other columns are things that you can go in and change. Some of them are required and some are optional. So the optional ones are column A, the section, column C, the vendor, and column I, the inky. So what I use the section for is that I use it to determine, like, is this a colorant? Is this a fragrance? Is this an oil? Is this whatever, right? So I like to kind of know those ballpark things so that I can do reporting on them separately. Vendor I like to use because let's say I get olive oil from a vendor, and then like from Costco, and then I'm like, oh, I ran out of olive oil, and I go to I purchase it from a vendor, so I get it from New Directions. There's going to be different pricing for that. So I want to indicate that separately and use the different pricing in my file. The other nice thing about this is you could technically even use this sheet because it tells you the cost per gram. You can use this sheet to compare pricing to see what's your best option. Okay? And I'll show you that in a moment. The last thing that is optional is column I, which is your inky. I call it /label because this is what I use to create my labels. So for instance, if I'm in Canada, and on our labels we have to use inky. So if it's shea butter, it's like so barky blah blah blah. I don't even remember now what it's called, but I would put that inky name for shea butter over here so that when I'm ready to do my labels, I have all that information right in front of me. And I only had to do it once because we'll see how that comes into the other things. So and then ingredients are, this is what I am calling it. This ingredient column, this ingredient column is what I need to make sure when I use the recipes, I call it exactly the same thing as I'm calling it here. If I call it something different, it's not going to work. I'll show you that in a little bit. My price is how much I'm paying for whatever this ingredient is. My volume is how much I purchased. And my volume type, I have 3 options. It can either be by ounce, by gram, or by milliliter. And this is what I mean about when I calculate the cost per gram. I am just saying, okay, 1 milliliter equals 1 gram of weight. Ounces, I don't remember what it is, but it's around 28 grams equals an ounce, ballpark. So I just do a calculation to convert the ounces to grams. And I know ounces could be fluid ounces, could be whatever, but this is ballpark, right? So what it does do is it shows, see how this says a half of an ounce equals 14.17 grams. And so therefore my cost per gram based on this price is here. Okay. So let's just play with some. So, I'm gonna say, I know I'm gonna need baking soda. I'm gonna do a bath bomb. I know I'm gonna have citric acid, right? I'm gonna get rid of these things. Okay. And I know that baking soda, the inky, is sodium bicarbonate. I don't remember what citric acid is. Is it citric acid? I'm going to look it up. Make it easy for me. Inky for citric acid. Oh, citric acid. Fabulous. Fabulous. Okay, I know I'm going to have cream of tartar. Is it AR or, oh, I think it's AR. And that's potassium bitrate or something like that. Let's see. Potassium bitartrate. Here it is. I don't want to go into, there we go. Let's copy that. Put it into here. Okay. I know I'm going to have water. And that's aqua. It's actually distilled water, but I'm just going to call it water. What else am I going to have? I'm going to have avocado oil. I definitely don't know the inky for that. Here it is. Right? So this is the kind of thing that takes, I would say, the most time, is filling all this in. And Tanya says, yay, she has experience with Excel. Fabulous. Okay. I'm not going to bother filling this in because it doesn't really matter for this file, but you're welcome to kind of categorize these as you see fit. Now, let's say I get my baking soda from Costco. I know I get my citric acid from a restaurant supply. I'm just going to call restaurant supply. My cream of tartar, let's say I'm going to get that from Windy Point. My water, I'm just getting that from my local grocery store. I'll call that Portino's. That's my local grocery store. And my avocado oil, I definitely get from Costco. But here's what I'm going to do. And now I don't know my pricing, so I'm just going to make these up. So let's say my citric acid, my baking soda, I get in a kilo at a time. Oops. Oh, by the way, if I choose the volume type that's wrong, because there's only those 3 options, it basically says I can't use that. So I could type in GM and it'll work, but if I type in G, I'm getting an error. Or if I type in O for ounces, I'll get an error. But if I type OZ, then it's fine, because that's one of those drop downs. So you can either pick from the drop down or you could type it in. And let's say for a kilo, it's costing me $10. I don't know. I'll say 20. My citric acid, I get that in, I think it's like a 50-pound bag, which is like about 25 kilos. And let's say that's $50 for that. Let's say it's 80. $50 is pre. So you can see my cost per gram is pretty low on that. I think it's actually like 22,000, something like that. And then let's say my cream of tartar cost me $80 for a kilo. And then my water cost me like $5 for 20 liters. I think I have it as milliliters, right? Yeah. And my avocado oil is going up in price. So let's say that's $40. Oops, $40 for 2 liters. Okay, let's just pretend these are all my ingredients. By the way, what I would recommend doing is if you're paying tax, I would put the tax in with that price, because that's really what your price is, but up to you. Okay, so let's pretend this is what our recipe is, our formula. And I might have other things in here too, but anyway. Oh, and I need a fragrance oil. So I'm just going to go into a site and pick a fragrance oil. I'm going to go into Windy Point, just because I know I have some of their stuff. And let's pick this one, whatever that one is. I'll check them out here. And blue oh, that's a colorant? No, that's okay. Actually, that is something that I would do, is this does give me this is part of what it should give me. Here, ingredients, right? So that's the stuff that I would put into here. But actually I would change that into their CI numbers, because I use CI numbers. But anyway. But let's go here, fragrance oils. And I'm just going to pick the first one, whatever that is. Oh, well, black raspberry vanilla is a good one. So this is, I'll show you this later, because this, I might be getting ahead of myself. Black raspberry vanilla. And I might put WP, just so I know where that's from. And let's say I got the, I use this a lot, so I get the 265 milliliter, and it's going to cost me $21.75. I'm not going to factor tax in right now. And I know the inky for that is parfum. Every fragrance inky is parfum, unless it's what's the word? An essential oil. So, now, let's go in here. I'm going to make a sample bath bomb. Even though this is not going to be a good formula. But I'm just going to call this sample bath. Oh, let's make this bigger so you can see it. Okay. So I'm going to call this sample bath bomb. And let's say I'm paying myself $20 an hour. And it took me an hour to make this. It took me 45 minutes, so I'll put 0.75. So it took me 3/4 of an hour to make it. I'll figure out how many batches I made. So my ingredients, you see here, select the ingredient or manually type in the ingredient as entered. So because I have entered, I have to actually scroll up to find it. Because I've entered some products in this supply cost, I can choose from this list. So I could be like, oh, I put baking soda. Or I could just type it in. Baking, I'll type citric acid. Okay? Now, we'll get to this in a moment. If I put, for instance, let's say I have the black raspberry vanilla, and I just write black ras vanilla FO. I get an error. And it's like, whoa, we don't know what that is. You did not tell us that you were going to be putting this in here. And so it says you are entering something that's not there. And it says calculations will not work until this has been fixed. Continue, and I'm going to type yes. Now once I start filling out this supply costs thing, that drop down is not going to be super helpful. But for now, I could go in here and just change that. Okay, but if not, I can go back to this sheet, find it. This is where, to me, having the section titled fragrance, I would look for my fragrances there to see what it was called. Okay. Anyway, so let's say I'm doing, 500 grams of this, 250 grams of that, and I can put in ounces or grams. If I did, I don't know how much that is in ounces. Let's pretend that's, 32 ounces and 16 ounces. So it will switch things out depending on which one. And I could do that and then do 30 grams of this. Each line can be different. That's okay, depending on how you work. I am American, so I had to put the ounces in because that's how I started making. But now I'm living in Canada. I call myself an Americanadian. And so I use grams now. And I think a lot of people are using grams anyway because it's much more accurate. So I wanted both options. So you can see that what's happening here is it is recalculating the grams depending on what you did. So if and by the way, again, as you notice that these are, I might have unlocked these. Let's see, can I? No, you can't. You can see what's in here, but you cannot change these. If it's highlighted, you can't change things. So you can tell that you can see that it's putting what the grams are. And so that means if it's already in the grams column, it's just going to come over. If it's in the ounces column, it's converting it to grams. And then it gives you the cost per gram. So this is how much did it cost you, which technically doesn't actually need to be in here because you already have it in there, but whatever. And so this is the total cost for your batch. So my baking soda in this fake formula. My baking soda cost me $18. My citric acid cost me $1.65. I bet you I have the wrong pricing in there. And my black raspberry, my fragrance oil cost me $2.50. Okay, and I would put water in because I know I have to have that on my ingredient label. And I'm just going to put 0.1 as my amount because it's probably barely anything, you know. And I'm not weighing it, so whatever. But it's in there. So what came in over here are what I have for my label. So I have my label stuff prepped and what percentage it is. Because as we know, when we do our labels, we have to put them in with the most volume first. So let's pretend the other thing I put in here, cream of tartar. I'm going to spell it wrong because I want you to see what happens. I'm going to say yes, I'll continue. And let's say cream of tartar is 30 grams. I don't know. You can see here that this is not working, right? I got these red things. It's like, I don't know what to do with this. And that's because this is not how I spelled it. So I can pick from the drop down, or I can go in here, I can find it here, and I can put it in here. And then it fixes itself. Now what this is not doing is resorting this. So you would need to make sure that you put your ingredients in order of how much product is in there. So this is not doing that for you. That's a separate thing. So now let's say in this I made 10 bath bombs with this. Okay, in this batch. So what this all shows me is it cost me $25 to make this batch, this whole batch, which is this, right? My ingredients cost me $24.66. Okay? Plus my labor is not in there. Okay? So what this did was this is saying for each item, so for each of these bath bombs, it cost me $2.47 in ingredients. Again, this does not count my time. And so what this suggested retail price does is it is your ingredients cost, which is this $2.47, times 4, because we all hear this whole thing of like, oh, your cost times 4 should be your retail price. And then adding in your labor. So $2.47, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it on a separate, let's do a new blank workbook because I'll show you. Let's make this really big. So if this is $2.47 and I say that times 4 is $9.88. But see, this is saying $11.36 because I'm saying it took me 45 minutes to make. And I'm paying myself $20 an hour in this scenario. So it cost me $15 in labor to make this. So I'm taking the $15 and I'm dividing that by 10. This is how it should be. Let's see if this is how I did it. Equals $15 divided by 10 because it cost me $15 to make 10. So how much did it cost me per bath bomb? It cost me $1.50 per bath bomb. So if I do this plus this, let's hope this works, $11.38. So there's some rounding stuff that happens. That's how that suggested retail price comes. But you can choose your own price. It doesn't have to be that. This is just what this is what this is kind of coming out to be. But you could be like, you know what? I'm actually like in an area that's super ritzy and tons of tourists and they pay tons of money for the product and I'm going to charge $15 for my bath bomb. That's fine. Like that's your business and your choice. Or you could be like, you know what? I'm in an area that nobody will pay that much for a bath bomb. Obviously, I made up these amounts, so there's no way this is really what it is. But you could be like, you know what? I can't charge that much, so I'm going to charge $9 or whatever for it. The benefit you have here is you do see that your ingredients alone, if you don't even calculate your time, your ingredients cost you $2.47 in this scenario. So if you price yourself below $2.47, you are losing money with every bath bomb you sell. You're already like, that's not even factoring in your time. So when people are like, oh, how much do you sell your things for? How much, like in all these different groups we see, all of us in all different areas of the world. And so different things are costing us different things, and different, like our areas can withstand different pricing as well. So if you have a product that you're selling for $5 each and you cannot keep them in stock because people are buying you out, then you probably need to up your price a little bit because you can't even fulfill the orders that you have. And so anyway, that's a whole different thing. I won't get into that. That's different. So anyway, so that's how this file works. Now I could go in here and on recipe 2, I do a totally different formula that uses different ingredients or uses some of the same, some different. Now, the other benefit to this file is I'll take cream of tartar, right? So let me go back in here. I'm going to go, oops, let me close out of this. Hold on. Don't save. That's just a little whatever. I'm going to go back into Windy Point's thing. Whatever. And I'm going to look up cream of tartar. Okay? And let's say I was buying this. Oh, it's not in stock, but let's pretend it is. 3 kilos. Wow, it's pretty close. 3 kilos, $79.95. So let's go here. Oh, I was totally off because I said that was 1 kilo. 3 kilos for $79.95. Now, actually, now that I changed that, look how this, remember our cost was about $2.50 per bath bomb, but now it goes down to $2.30 per bath bomb. And our suggested retail price went down as well. Not a huge amount, because cream of tartar is not a big portion of our stuff, right? So let's just see. This thing I know costs 3 cents per, but let's say I wanted to go to another site. I don't know if they sell it. Soap and More is another one I like to shop from. And let's see their cream of tartar. Okay. So this, for 3 kilos, is $75. Not a big difference. But I could put it in here, cream of tartar. Now, here's the challenge. I can't call it cream of tartar because I have another one called cream of tartar. And now how will the system know which one to use? It'll just pick one of them. It'll probably pick the first one on the list. Like once it finds it, it'll use that Windy Point price. So I'm going to call this Soap and More. I'll call it SM. Excuse me. I'm going to put in here Soap and More. This was $75 for the same 3 kilos. Same Inky. I'm going to rename this. Watch what's going to happen though. Okay. So I renamed the Windy Point one, which now means this is broken because I renamed this. And I can see now, if I use the Windy Point one, it's going to cost me that. If I use the Soap and More one, it changed it by a penny. Not a big deal. Go back up. Okay. So that wasn't a big deal. But I might choose other suppliers and check so I can see like, what's that going to cost me per gram to buy that? And so sometimes you'll be, let me look at another one. Ready? Let me pick another one. I'm in Canada, by the way. These are different Canadian suppliers. So another one is Candora. I don't like their search function. So let's say I get a, okay, 3 kilos here is $70. And let's say I get that one. Or I'm thinking about it. Candora. think this is called Candora soap. I'm going to call it CS. And so this is 70 for 3,000 grams. I can also look at what's the price for this if I was only going to get a kilo. So that's $22. I mean, it's not a big difference. But this is interesting, though, actually. I do. So if you look here, now, I mean, all this is rounding, but you can see that Candora is definitely the cheaper price for my cream of tartar. I'm getting it for about 2 cents a gram as opposed to 3 cents a gram from these others. So yet again, if I go in here and I change this cream of tartar to my, that brought my cost down again. But I do recommend, if you're thinking about getting them from different places, to kind of show in the ingredient list kind of why. Kathy says, bless you, thank you. So you can see how this can actually be beneficial for you, just this page, in trying to figure out, like, where is my best place to buy this? So I'm going to do one more place. I'm going to do Voyager. And I'm going to look up cream of tartar. Again, this is a Canadian supplier, although I think they also sell to the U.S. Like, several of these sell to the U.S. Cream of tartar. Okay. They do sell it in 3 kilos. Whoa, $58.85. Nice. Okay, I like it. I like it. Now, I still would need to go in and be like, okay, how much does it cost to ship it to me? Because they are across the country from me. So it might cost me more to ship. And so in the end, I might be spending more. Who knows? So, but now if I choose this, let's see if it changes anything. $2.28. Nice. Right? So this is why it's like when people are asking, how much are you charging? They could be getting their products from different places and having different prices. Now, citric acid, let me do that one because that's going to make a bigger difference because it's used so much more in this formula. Like, it is 30% of my product. So when you're starting to look at how do I reduce my costs, your ideal is to reduce the cost of the ingredients that you're using the most of. I can get a cheaper price for water, but that ain't going to change much on my overall cost because there's barely any water in here. Whereas if I can get baking soda at a much lower price, that's going to make a huge difference. Okay, let's do citric acid because that's the more, so I'm just going to do it from these different places. This is what I'm going to prep it right here. So I'm going to do citric acid. What was I doing first? Windy Point. And then I'm going to do Soap and More, Candora, and Voyager. Let's see. Let's see what these are and where my best place would be to go for them. So let's go here, citric acid, and see how that impacts my stuff. Okay. And I'm going to get the largest I can get. So 10 kilos. Okay. 10 kilos, $75.40. And then I should technically, let's do this to get it ready. If there are questions, please let me know. Let's go here. Oops. That's not, I was trying to go to search. Technically, you could get that 25 kilos wholesale. But let's do 10 kilos again. This is helpful if they don't have the same exact weights. But actually, let's see. Let's see if I did citric acid wholesale. So that's 25 kilos for $112.50. Okay, so this is, oops, that doesn't matter. This is giving me the option to compare pricing when I'm buying different volumes. Usually when you buy more, it costs less. Okay, with soap and more. Create it harder. Nope, I'm doing citric acid. And let's do 25 kilos again for $100. $100 for 25 kilos. I hate seeing that GM in caps. It's bugging me. And then Voyager. Citric. Okay, and they do 25 kilos for $168.29. I wonder, just so I'm consistent, let's look at citric acid and see if they, in Windy Point, to see if they have, no, they don't have a larger quantity. Okay. So you can see that there are differences in prices, right? So my Voyager Cream of Tartar was way cheaper than my others, but my citric acid from them would be way more expensive. And I can tell you that shipping price would be way more because they're coming across the country. So now, let's say I'm like, okay, let me just look at what my cheapest one was. So let's say I got it from Candora, which actually is very convenient for me. It's a 2-hour drive, but maybe I'm like, hey, it's worth the 2-hour drive. So I'm going to get citric acid Candora. So now my MSRP is down to $10.70, right? And if I did that with baking soda, it'd be even better, right? If I could get a lower price for baking soda, and I made up that price before anyway. So that is how this works. The idea is you can have all different formulas here. If your costs start to change, you will need to go in here and change them. It doesn't look like I have any other questions. So I know this has been a bit long, but let me know if there are any other questions. And if not, then I will end this. I'll end it. So let me know if you think this is helpful. If you like more of this kind of stuff, I am planning to offer an Excel workshop so that you can start to learn how to use Excel, and it's going to be an online kind of class. I think what I might do, because I'm struggling with like developing it, and like there's so many different things I want to include. So what I might do is have an initial workshop or class that is open to only a certain number of people, and it'll be probably a little bit less cost than what I'm planning for the future, because then you're kind of, you know that it's in development and you're providing feedback in it. So that may be coming. If you are interested in kind of being a part of that initial group, let me know. And I think that's it. Kathy says, this has been very helpful. I'd love as much as you can offer. Fabulous. Okay. Okay, I hope that you find all this super duper helpful. And have a lovely day. It's Friday. And so I hope you have a lovely weekend. If you have any markets coming up this weekend, enjoy them. And that's it. Happy making and happy analyzing and running your business. Bye.